connected.
Back for the time of my very special guest today. Welcome back, everybody. This is your host with the most from the left coast, the west coast, the best coast, and that is Neon Black Chevelle. And you are tuned in to Takeover Tuesday, brought to you by KWEXL Radio, where we excel, where we ascend, where we progress. So, today I have a very special guest. He's the creator of diners, drive-ins, and dives. He is the host of a podcast called Culinary Characters Unlocked, and he talks with chefs, restaurateurs, like entrepreneurs, but restaurateurs, and food legends. He is the writer and author of Food Americana. This guy, I don't know what this guy has not done. Seems like he's done it all. He's walked through the Berlin Wall. He has interviewed Gaddafi in the ruins of his home after the U.S. forces have bombed it. Today's special guest for Takeover Tuesday is David Page. David, you have the floor. You have the mic. Welcome. Thank you for hanging out with us today.
Well, thanks for inviting me. It's a delight to be here. But who says the left coast is the best coast?
Oh, everyone does. I do. The entire left coast. We have beaches and bridges. Wonderful
You're 3
beaches.
hours behind everything, dude. I mean, I'm on the Jersey Shore, which is where things are happening.
I heard that.
Pizza's good. There's no smoked salmon on the pizza. It's all different here.
You said smoked salmon on pizza?
You guys on the way? Well, hold on. You're unfamiliar with smoked salmon pizza at Spago?
Spago. Yeah, no, I'm not familiar with Spago.
No, Beverly Hills, Wolfgang Puck, a culinary legend. He reinvented. He had a strong hand in creating California cuisine back in the 70s and 80s. In fact, I'm writing about that now in a proposal for a book. So.
Oh, okay. Well, where I'm from on the west side, I'm from Oakland, California, aka the town. So
there is.
yeah,
Hold on.
exactly,
There's a
from the Bay
restaurant in
Area.
Oakland. There's a soul food restaurant in Oakland that I might have been the Infatuation or Food and Wine. Somebody just declared the best restaurant in the United States. Are you familiar with what I'm talking about?
No, I'm not. I no longer live in Oakland. However, when did they declare this? This year? Last year?
I think it was this year. Yeah.
Oh, what's the name of it?
I don't remember. That's why I kind of put a question mark at the end of the sentence. But where do you live now if you're not in Oakland, man?
Oh, I'm in the high desert, man. I'm out here in Arizona, loving it.
Where?
Not going to pinpoint exactly where I am in Arizona. What kind of shit is that? but
No,
yeah.
see, like a million years ago, I was the investigative reporter at KPNX TV, Channel 12 in Phoenix.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. How long
I
ago was
loved
that?
my time. I'll tell you a great story. I mean, maybe it's not Cowboy Town anymore, but I got to town there and I started doing some stuff. And I got a phone call from a lawyer who wanted to talk to me. I went to his office. He said to me, I am the law partner of, and he named the current governor. He says, I see you're doing some interesting stuff on TV. I'll make you a deal. I'll be glad to leak you stuff. It'll all be true. It'll all help the governor. It won't hurt him. I said, well, if it's true, great. So he leaked me some really important grand jury testimony that eventually resulted in the indictment of a guy who was convicted of some serious crimes. It was wild times out in Phoenix.
Still wild times I hear out there in Phoenix. But
Yeah.
no, I stay away from the riffraff. I don't live where there is riffraff. Very quiet neighborhood. I love it. I love it to death. So you said you interviewed. I want to get right into it. You interviewed Gaddafi.
Yeah. I asked him if he cross-dressed.
Interesting. Was that on video?
Yeah, I was, pardon me. I was a producer for NBC News based overseas. I think at that time I was either in London or Frankfurt, but I covered Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. And U.S. forces blew up one of his houses in Tripoli. And I was the first TV journalist to interview him in the ruins of the bombed out house sometime later. And before he arrived for the interview, they took me on a tour of the house, and it was kind of funny. He had a round bed. Well, I mean, I'm saying they took me into a bedroom, told me it was his. There was a round bed with like blue velveteen on the headboard and the wings of the bed, which had like controls in it, I guess, for the lights or the stereo or whatever. Kind of like Hugh Hefner would have had, in the high times of Playboy. Anyway, we did the interview, and Gaddafi spoke perfect English. I had covered him, on a variety of occasions. He knew English, but when he was doing an interview, he frequently insisted on Arabic with a translator. For political reasons, he wasn't going to accede to the ways of the West, but I think more importantly, it gave him time to think about his answers. So we went through the whole interview, and it was standard crap from him. And we got to the end, and the New York Post had recently, based I'm sure on a CIA planted story, they were saying U.S. intelligence claimed that Gaddafi liked to dress up in women's clothing and used a lot of psychotropic drugs. And they actually mocked up a picture of him on the front of the newspaper in a dress and heels. So we get to the end of the interview, and he hasn't made any news. And I figured, screw it. And I said, one final question. The CIA, via the New York Post, says you like to dress up in women's clothing and take a lot of drugs. Is that true? Only his translator didn't translate the question because he didn't want to get shot. Um, and there was a brief pause, and then Gaddafi broke out laughing because, again, he spoke perfect English. He knew exactly what I asked.
Mhm. That is something. Yeah, no, you've done a lot, man. How old are you, by the way?
What's that?
How old are you, by the way?
I'm 71. I was here when
71.
dinosaurs roamed the earth. I've been in this business since I was 15, so it's been a while.
Awesome. That sounds good to me. So you're the creator of diners, drive-ins, and dives.
I am.
I was not. How did you even? Let's start with diners. How did you even start with the idea of
Well,
diners?
I pulled it out of my ass. I was I had left Network News. At this point had my own production company, but no one was buying anything from me. And I had run the weekend editions of the Today Show with a partner, and Al Roker worked for. Well, I say worked for us. Technically, he worked for us. Talent doesn't work for executive producers at the network level. But anyway, Al was on the show.
Mhm.
He hadn't gotten the big show yet. And so I'm out in Minnesota trying to run this production company, and I'm starving. No one's buying anything from me. So I call Al, who had a production company of his own as well as his network gig, and I said, listen, I'm starving out here. You got any work you can throw me? And he said, yeah, I'm doing a lot of stuff for the Food Network. Why don't you do some of it for me? So he started subcontracting projects to me, and I got to know the Food Network. And eventually I moved on to pitching them myself. And they were just not saying yes to anything.
Mm.
And I'm on the phone with this executive who was kind enough to take my calls, and I think was starting to feel sorry for me. And I had done for Al for the Food Network a documentary on diners. So finally, I'm on the phone. I'm pitching. She's saying, no, no, no. She finally, out of either frustration or pity or both, she says to me, haven't you got anything else about diners? And I said to her, oh, yeah, I'm developing this show called Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. And I told her all about it. And she said, that sounds good. It was like late on a Thursday or a Friday. She said, we have a development meeting Tuesday. Give me a write-up for a 1-hour special on Monday. I got off the phone, and on the one hand, this was good news because she'd finally expressed interest in something. But on the other hand, I had a problem because I had just pulled the name out of thin air. I just
Nice.
made it up on the spot
Yeah.
and BS'd her about what the show was. And I'd rather be lucky than good. I spent the next few days researching it and sent her a write up on Monday, and they picked up a special, and then that turned into a series.
Wow. Okay. See, I didn't know that diners, drive-ins, and dives was a show. I'm probably,
Well, what the hell you think it was?
man, I thought you were, that's what I was saying. Like, dude, you're the
Hey,
creator
hold on. Do you do any research?
of
There's an internet.
diners. Yeah, no, there absolutely is an internet. To answer your question, yeah, I did some last minute ass research, the whole
Uh,
Gaddafi thing and all of that. Yeah, and I just looked you up again right now, and yeah, your name popped up. But yeah, no, as far as like extensive research, no, I didn't do any of that shit.
well, go to my website, culinarycharactersunlocked.com. It's got my bio.
Awesome sauce. I looked you up on Google and everything. It says that you are David Page, an Emmy Award winning journalist and producer, interviewed Libyan leader Gaddafi. So there it is.
Well, there you go. I walked through the Berlin Wall the night it opened.
Yeah, and then they tore
Uh,
it down. Like actually last night, I just found out that they opened it up before it was actually tore down. I was born the year that they actually tore it down, or opened it up rather, because they opened it up in November, then they tore it down later on. But yeah, no, you
that
definitely
is
did some
correct,
things.
sir.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool.
So yeah, no, I didn't do a bunch of research and all of that shit. I like to just keep it raw and all of that. Plus, I had a bunch of shit going on. I'm new, but it is what it is. So yeah, I thought like creator of diners, drive-ins, and dives. I thought you were literally the person who came up with the idea of diners and
No,
drive-ins and
diners
dives.
diners were created back in the 1800s. They began
Okay.
with a horse-drawn food cart that a guy parked in front of City Hall across the street from the local newspaper in Providence, Rhode Island, as a way to feed the overnight pressmen working at the Providence newspaper. And it grew from there.
You busting my balls, really? Hmm.
No, I'm not busting your balls. And then um, the reason diners started out small is they were sold prefab. Once they became diners, not horse-drawn carriages, the companies that started building them, they were prefab restaurants, and they couldn't be any wider than could be fit on a truck or a freight train to be brought out to where they were going to be installed. And then someone figured out, well, you could make them twice as wide and put them on the train or the truck in halves. But yeah, that's where diners came from. And by the way, they were never train cars. People talk about diners as dining cars. That's bullshit.
Really? Huh.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. They
Because
looked
even
like train cars, but they were never train cars.
okay, gotcha. Wow, that's you got some insight there. That is just awesome. So nowadays, when you are looking at all of these shows, I don't know if you do you watch TV? Like, are you
I love TV. I'm not. I don't watch a whole lot of food television, but I'm familiar with it.
that's what I was just gonna ask you. I was gonna ask you when you see the shows nowadays that are going into different restaurants and all of that stuff. Like, do you have an eye for? How can I say this? Do you have an eye for not things that are out of place, but
There's a lot of bullshit in
yeah.
so-called reality television.
Oh yeah,
What
absolutely. It's
made
scripted for
my
sure.
show different is I insisted on telling the absolute truth. So much of what you see is manipulated, is garbage, is
Hmm.
untrue. But even more than that, what's happened to food television is it's bifurcated into these shows that put a cinematic glow on food to make everything look gorgeous, kind of like a Nancy Meyers movie brought to life. And then there's all these competition shows, and I can't stand the competition shows because food shouldn't be about competition. It shouldn't be chefs yelling and screaming and people having to make perfect plates in 40 seconds.
Hmm.
Food is an essential part of life. It is the substance. A, we need it to live, but B, for millennia, it's been the social lubricant that brings people together, and it should be celebrated as such, as part of everyday life.
So I guess it's safe to say that you're not a Gordon Ramsay fan.
Well, I'm a fan of Gordon Ramsay, the Michelin star winning chef, who, for example, resurrected beef Wellington
Hmm.
as a modern dish. I'm not a fan of his bullshit yelling and screaming on TV,
Right.
although I'm literally in the midst of editing a podcast with one of the winners of his show, a chef by the name of Ellie Parker, who says he's a delightful guy in person, which doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. Yeah, no, me and my girl, we were watching a documentary on him about a couple of weeks ago. And it was about him, of course, his family and all of that. And yeah, he did come off, I mean, I don't know the guy from a can of paint as far as like how he is when the cameras aren't on. I don't know what he's into. You know what I mean? People are weird nowadays. Not saying he is, but I don't know the guy, right? But he
Hmm.
comes off, like you said, he comes off like a down to earth dude, just normal dude that has, family man, and he just apparently is a world renowned chef. So,
And one of the most creative. I mean, he's got his Michelin stars. He no, he's a serious figure in food. Um, Unfortunately, the persona that he is famous for on television is kind of gross. But and look, I don't like that persona because the food business
yeah.
has historically had a real problem with abusive employees and misogyny. And we saw some reckoning a few years ago when the Me Too movement took down Mario Batali, among others. So I don't like to see the ways of the kitchen celebrated with such brutality.
Hmm.
All of which harkens back to the old French brigade system of running a kitchen, which is inappropriate today, but still exists to a significant degree in fine dining. But that said, he's an excellent chef.
So, do you cook? Like, how are you in the kitchen?
I'm a fabulous amateur cook who could never ever qualify to be a professional chef because
I can dig it.
I don't have the it. Okay, you have to have it. There's got to be something inside you that instinctively knows how to do this. I remember in, I guess, the first season of Diners, we were shooting at Louis Miller's Barbecue in Taylor, Texas, which is one of the legendary Texas barbecue joints. And the owner at the time, Louis had passed, but his son Bobby had the place, and he's now passed, and his son Wayne has the place. But Bobby was talking to a guy in front of one of the smokers, and he just turned around and started moving briskets around. And either Guy or I said to him, "Well, how'd you know to do that? You weren't looking." He said, "I knew." I knew what needed to happen. Okay, I don't have that. If I invite you over to the house for steak and there's four of us, I cook five steaks so I can cut into one and see how done it is.
Right.
That's not a chef, but
Right. It's a cook.
I'm an eager home cook, and I'm pretty damn good at it. And I came to it. I lived in Europe for many years working for NBC News, and I traveled all the time, and I was never home. I never cooked. I literally, after several years of an apartment in Frankfurt, I moved out realizing I had never once used a stove. When I moved back to the States, I decided, maybe I'll try cooking something. That
Hmm.
might be fun. And first of all, I liked it. And second of all, I have no fear. I mean, one of the dangers if I invite you to my house is I may well make you something I've never made before. Good luck.
Okay.
But I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun, and I wish more people would look at cooking that way. We've turned it into a fucking. Can I say fucking on your
Man, you can say
podcast?
whatever the fuck you want.
I guess I just did. We've turned it into a fucking chore. We tell people it's awful. Buy this meal kit.
Right.
Come on, cut the
Right.
crap. Buy a chicken, put it in a pan, put it in the oven, salt and pepper and garlic. Come back in 45 minutes and have dinner.
There you go. Yeah.
You know, we've. It should be enjoyable. It should be, and there should be a satisfaction in making other people happy by making them something good to eat.
Yeah. Absolutely. So what I do outside of this, right now, this is just kind of like a hobby. But what I do outside of this, I'm a merchant mariner, and I'm in the deck.
Oh my
Yes,
God,
sir. Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it is actually. Thank you. So before I was in the deck department, steering the ships and doing all of that stuff, um, I was in the steward department when I first started, and I got all the way up to becoming a chief cook. So I had never had a passion in cooking. Never was raised in the kitchen. You know what I mean? So, But
Yep.
it was the quickest way to get to some pretty good money, right? So I'm like, all right, well, just let me do the fast track and do that.
Is a chief cook well compensated on a merchant ship?
100%, absolutely. In 4 days, I made what, $900 or something like that, which was pretty darn
That's good.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll go for that.
yeah, exactly. So, and that was like, whew, that was what, 2020, 2021. But long story short, I was on a merchant vessel, the Kennedy, and it was for the company APL, and they have three entrees. I'm sorry. And I was fresh out of the school. The school really didn't teach us how to cook for a bunch of people. They just told us about, the basics. This is your specific cut of meats. Make sure when it's cooked, it's at this temperature. This is how you make a roux from scratch. But as far as
How
cooking
dark's
for,
your roux?
yeah. So like, yeah, they told us about the pale, the blonde, and the brown roux and how to
You
make
go to
gravy out of that.
peanut or not?
Nah,
Yeah.
nah. We only did the three. I didn't even know that was a thing. What, a peanut roux? Is that what you're saying?
It's a dark roux. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of like the brown roux where you got to keep
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
it moving so it doesn't stick and burn. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. So they never taught us how to cook. Don't get me wrong. The people that were in the class, they have a passion for cooking. They probably were in a kitchen professionally before, but or they were raised cooking or whatever. Maybe own a restaurant or worked in a restaurant. But me, no, 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 not me. So I wasn't prepared to cook for 20 plus people all at the same time. And I tell you what, I don't miss that. So I do have a lot of respect for people that do cook and for chefs as well. I know they're two different things.
Well, but
Um,
you know what's interesting? What you're talking about? You talk about cooking for 20 people. Um, I piloted a show once. Unfortunately, we were not picked up after finishing it, but um, about uh, cooking at extreme job sites. We shot the pilot up in North Dakota, where it was literally 30 degrees below zero at a fracking site. And it turns out that to entice workers to to take those jobs, we're talking about fracking and
yeah.
mining and dangerous,
Oh yeah.
serious shit.
Serious blue collar
One
grit.
of the selling points is the quality of the food. And this place had a French chef who was making, remember we made steak au poivre. I mean, food was being used to entice people to work there. I thought that
Hmm.
was really cool. It was very cool actually. They had a barbecue night where they would literally cook barbecue outside when it was 30 below. It was wacky shit.
30 below, man. That reminds me of working in Alaska. Wow.
Where'd you work in Alaska?
Where was I? I flew into Anchorage and we went to Valdez, Alaska.
Oh, yeah, of course. You were, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I did that whole run. It was awesome. But yeah, no, 30 below.
cool.
No, the coldest it got with the wind chill was 19.
Yeah,
Yeah.
North Dakota is just hell
Yeah.
in the winter. What's interesting was they provided us with the clothing that they gave their workers, which was like Carhartts on steroids,
Hmm.
and it was warmer than possible. And now any inch of exposed skin, like on your face, was good luck, but it was wild.
Yeah, no, I can only imagine, especially with that wind chill.
Yeah,
Did you so where have you been where has food taken you, rather? Your top
it's taking me
five,
everywhere.
or
I
not top
mean,
five, but your top three experiences rather, and where were you?
top three experiences. Okay. We were shooting a piece in Luxembourg. We were supposed to cover the NATO summit, and which is just do a story ahead of it. And the NATO summit is the most boring story. Well, today it wouldn't be because we hate NATO as a country and they hate us. But it used to
Yeah.
be the most boring story on earth. And I said to my correspondent, I said, let's do it differently. What's the smallest army in NATO? So we went to Luxembourg. They had a 600-person army.
Hmm.
They didn't even have a general. The guy in charge was a colonel, and The defense minister was also the minister of agriculture, so we shot him at the Milk Day parade, throwing little cartons of milk off a float. But after this long, and there's a huge American military cemetery there because American military losses in Luxembourg were extreme during the Battle of the Bulge. Anyway, I think it was the Battle of the Bulge, and Patton's actually buried there. He died in Luxembourg in a car accident, well, a
Mm.
Jeep accident. But anyway, we had this long day of shooting. We were exhausted. We were tired. We're driving back to Luxembourg City, and we see a sign for a restaurant. So we pull in. It's me and the crew and the correspondent. And we go inside in our jeans. And as with so much of Europe, you can't tell from the outside what's inside. And we realized when we walked in that we had walked into this most haute cuisine restaurant that you were going to find. I mean, it was upper end. And I thought for a second maybe we should leave, but it turns out that the owner was an expatriate American who was thrilled to see us and treated us like we were gods. You know, uncorking his own private reserve champagne.
Oh,
It was
nice.
one of the great meals
Yeah.
of our lives. Um, Another great meal I had in Hong Kong, and this wasn't working. This was with my family. My daughter was a competitive equestrian in high school, and the when the Olympic Games were held in Beijing, they held the equestrian events in Hong Kong, ostensibly because Hong Kong was part of China, but more to the point, nobody was going to take $1 million American or English or Brazilian horse into China and risk illness.
Hmm.
So they held the games there, and we went to the Olympics. And I managed to convince the concierge at our hotel that unlike most visiting Americans, I really wanted to eat like a local. So he sent us to this dim sum restaurant. And you go in down the stairs, and it's this cavernous room full of communal tables. We're the only non Asians there. No one speaks English. We're being ignored, but that's fine. We sit at the table. And there's people circulating with, the woven dim sum baskets. And we're kind of pointing, and they're bringing us stuff. And at one point, I pointed a basket, and the server starts to open it. And this elderly gentleman sitting kind of behind us opens his mouth for the first time and says in halting English, "That not for you."
Oh, wow.
And I go, huh? So I had to try it, of course. It turned out to be duck foot,
Hmm.
which, the Chinese are much more into texture than Americans are. And so it was mostly about the texture. It was fine.
Was it
Um,
gristly, or how did they cook it?
yeah, it's chewy. It's
Yeah. Okay.
chewy.
All right.
The third best meal, probably, I won't name a single restaurant, but I am a huge fan of food in Spain.
What part of
From
Spain? Rota, Cadiz.
I
Those are the places
mostly
I've been.
know Madrid and south,
Okay.
through the Moorish area. And just go anywhere for tapas,
Okay.
or to a central market in Spain. On our last trip there, we discovered, well, you'll know this from your time at sea. I did not know barnacles as anything other than something to remove from the hull of a ship.
Right.
In fact, they're a delicacy. They taste kind of like lobster.
Hmm.
I think Spanish cuisine is the hidden secret of the Western world.
Really?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
makes you say that?
It's fresh, it's flavorful, it's varied, it's robust. It is brilliantly simple. I mean, they can do so. Pan con tomate is simply grilled bread with olive oil and tomatoes spread on top of it. And as done there, it'll knock you on your ass.
Man, I heard that.
The ham that you get, the jamon iberico, from pigs that have been raised on acorns. There's nothing like it on the face of the earth. It's what prosciutto only dreams about being.
Hmm.
The simplicity of the Spanish tortilla, which is not a Mexican tortilla, is a bread product. Spanish tortilla is basically a fluffy omelet with potatoes in it. It's just the food is simply goddamn extraordinary. I remember sitting on a beach, I think outside Valencia with my wife,
Hmm.
and there was a guy cooking whole fish over a wood fire. Just it'll blow your mind. Just
Yeah,
and look, there's great food all over the world. There's wonderful food
absolutely.
throughout Europe, throughout the Middle East. I'm less familiar with Asia. For the most part, I did not work in Asia. But I just, if you said to me, there's one place you can go to live and eat, it would be Spain.
Interesting. No, you're right. That reminds me of when I was the way you were just talking about how good the food was. Reminds me of when I was in Greece,
Oh,
the
yeah.
island of Crete, and that was some of the cleanest eating I've ever done. It was fresh. I ordered a salmon plate, a grilled salmon plate. It was delicious. It was fresh, clean.
Yep. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's remarkable cuisine, and
Hmm.
people don't realize, there are variations in Greek cuisine because Greece is not only the islands. There's inland and mountainous Greece too.
Hmm.
So, not everything is fish. They,
Right.
they do some wonderful things with lamb. It's funny you say I'm going through kind of a Greek eating phase at home. I'm doing a lot of
Okay.
dolmades, grape leaves, tzatziki and feta. Now, I don't have the quality, obviously, of any of those products that you would enjoy in Greece,
Right. Right.
but it's just such a wonderful form of, and it's interesting because on the podcast, I recently interviewed uh, the celebrated chefs, one who owns a Turkish restaurant in the States, one who owns a Greek restaurant. And so I've spent a fair amount of time talking about the differences between two cuisines that people in America tend to think of as relatively identical. Turkey is much more the Middle East. It's
Hmm.
much more Lebanese or Israeli cuisine, more spices. Greece is more the traditional Mediterranean,
Hmm.
lighter food, fresher flavors.
Yep.
It's a fascinating contrast.
Yeah, no, absolutely it is. I love Greece. Greece is one of those places, like you said, because I have a daughter myself. She's just turned 10. However, when she's ready to go out as an adult and do her own thing, if there was one place that I could live, like you said, with the food and just the atmosphere, I think Greece would be one of those places. It's
Oh, it's phenomenal. Can I tell
yeah,
you a
it is.
disgusting story about Greece?
Yeah, go for it. This is Takeover Tuesday, Dave.
Yeah, we were sent there to cover a tragic heat wave. Temperatures were above 100 for days on end, and many people were dying. And in telling you that this story is kind of funny, I'm not minimizing the loss of life, but I am a journalist, and we tend to find humor in odd places.
I mean,
We had
especially
been
with
sent over
social
there to
media and all
cover
of
it. We
that,
were
we're
with a
probably used
Yeah.
to seeing
We
it,
were with a
desensitized.
we were with a new correspondent who frankly I didn't like. We never got along. I thought he was a putz. But anyway, um and he'd been over about, 10 minutes. He was I think he was Canadian. Anyway, we're looking for the morgue. And because they had fallen behind, they were bodies were piling up outside the morgue. It was a pretty awful situation. So we were looking for the morgue. I was with a crew and him, and we were in the neighborhood it was supposed to be in, and I saw a sign that the Greek letters seemed to spell out the word necro. So I figured, well, we probably found the place. And as the four of us are walking up the driveway to the building, this guy is walking toward us. He's wearing like a big body size plastic apron and he's kind of
Mm.
wiping his hands. And I look at the crew and they look at me and we both take a step back, which leaves the correspondent in the lead because when we get up to that guy, somebody's got to shake his hand. And it was the correspondent, not us.
Okay, so you didn't shake his hand,
So
huh?
we were behind him. He had to say the hello. I wasn't touching that. I mean, come on. He was full of
Come on, man. You could have
dead
extended
person.
the whole arm and hey, I'm
He was
David.
full of dead person stuff. I wasn't okay.
That's why they got soap, David. Soap and water.
Yeah, well, fine. I'm sorry. I was an evil individual.
Right, right. Evil American. Oh
That's
my
it.
goodness. Well, there's that. So you said you haven't you didn't do much traveling in your career to Asia, because I am going to be going to Singapore for the. I couldn't even tell you how many times I've been to Singapore, but
Well, don't spit on the sidewalk.
oh yeah, no, I'm definitely aware of that. Yeah, right. No, Asia definitely has some laws, like
Well, Singapore especially
yeah, for sure.
apparently has some draconian laws if you violate any sense of public order.
Yeah, they'll flog you.
They'll do something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, they will. Um, because I was going to ask you, and I know Singapore has a bunch of different type of Asian cuisine. You know what I mean? But I was going to ask you because I'm
Well,
going to
it's kind of
Singapore pretty
a melting
soon.
pot in that respect. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and I was going to ask you like, hey, do you have any recommendations or anything like that?
I can't help you in Singapore.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Singapore is cool. Singapore is all right. Um, but
Are you going on business?
I am, man. I am a merchant mariner. I just got my papers the other day, or
So
yesterday.
how does that work? You just like you register with the union or something,
Yep, absolutely. That's absolutely how it
and then
works.
yeah. It's interesting. My grandfather, who was a politically connected attorney in New York, actually won a court case is identifying or certifying that merchant seamen who were staying at the seamen's not a hotel, but there was
Like
a
a
place
center.
when in the old days when you were off a boat, you stayed at a particular residence, the seaman's house, whatever they called it.
Mm.
Because he was, a Tammany Hall guy trying to get as many votes as he could for Democrats, he got the courts to agree that merchant mariners who were staying there could use that as a legal address to register to vote in New York.
Hmm. I wonder if
So
they can do that nowadays, because we do have, um, some mariner centers, throughout the country
I
where
do not know.
if you don't have a
I
place to
do know that
stay, you can stay there.
all I know is back in the day when he was trying to get his job. This was the old days of. Well, I'm not sure it's changed much other than in the telling. I mean, his job was to get the Jewish vote. So I don't know what he was doing on the merchant seaman case, but yeah, there he was.
Oh, okay, so your grandfather wasn't a merchant seaman. He wasn't a merchant mariner.
No, no, he was a lawyer.
Oh,
and
okay,
and
okay.
he was simply trying to round up as many votes as possible for the Democrats.
Yeah, this was way back in the day, because you said this is your grandfather, and you said you're 70, right?
Yeah, I'm 71, so this was a
Yeah.
long time ago.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Yeah. Well, again, yeah, Dave. Anything you got on your mind, man? Anything you want to get out there? Because I do want to
Yeah,
talk
this
about your
country is
podcast and
currently
everything.
going through one of the scariest, most fucked times in our history.
Let's talk about
And
it.
if Americans don't wake up and realize that the press is not the enemy, um, American democracy as we know it is over. And that's not hysteria, it's not hyperbole. Um, we are real close to the end of the experiment that Benjamin Franklin, when asked after the Constitutional Congress was asked, what kind of government have you given us? He said, a republic if you can keep it. We're right on the edge of not keeping it.
Hmm. So you're saying press is not the enemy, media is not. What do you mean by that?
No, does it do a poor job on occasion? Sure. Is some of it, like Fox News, no longer trustworthy? Sure.
Okay.
Is,
Yeah.
for the most part, mainstream media trying their best to tell you the truth? Damn straight they are.
Are they?
And yeah, they are.
Hmm.
They can suck. They can be inept. They can be cutting back on budgets. But I got to tell you something. I've been a journalist for 55 years. And if you look back historically, the founders of this country trusted the press as an essential element of keeping politicians from the kind of greed and rapaciousness that we see today. And politicians on the right over the last 10 years have done everything they can do to villainize the media, and they've succeeded. People believe it. And that's a friggin' shame. And in a few years, when American democracy is dead, the public is only going to have itself to blame.
Yeah, I do you know of a show called South Park?
Yeah, I know South Park.
So the reason why I bring up South Park is because when I was a lot younger, there was an episode that I seen, and it was basically back in the day where they were signing the uh, Declaration of Independence or whatnot, and they were talking about democracy for the first time, and they were like, well, they still wanted to have control of everything, right? And they said, we'll make it seem that like the people have a say so they can vote. However, we'll be controlling everything. We'll call it having your cake and eating it too. So
Oh, there you go.
yeah, and I believed that when I saw that. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Because I mean, I'm not heavy into politics, but excuse me, when it comes around, um, like when it hits my front porch, it's like okay, like it's to me, it kind of just seems like use your common sense, like listen, you know what I mean, and you'll be
Oh,
able to
look,
see through the
social
smoke
media
screen.
and the unfiltered nature of the internet have rendered common sense obsolete. Uh, that's where I have no trust or belief in anything
Oh
I
no,
see.
I'd say social media is the new Hollywood. Yeah, no,
I
I
don't know.
don't.
Hollywood's entertaining, man. Or used to be.
Yeah.
I found myself watching a movie last night with Dwayne Johnson and
Uh-huh.
Ryan Reynolds and Gal Gadot. I don't remember which one. And the production value was very high. They had spent a lot of money on the movie. It was very well edited, but it was a fucking cartoon. And I
Hmm.
thought to myself, could I just go watch Casablanca?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. No, you can't believe
Boy,
everything you
don't I
see.
sound like the cranky old man saying, hey, kids, get off of the shed?
Dude, I am a merchant mariner. I work with salty sailors, man. I work with salty seafarers. I am definitely used to it if you haven't noticed. So no, you're
So
fine.
I guess you will not be transiting the Strait of Hormuz anytime soon?
Nah, nah. Well, I'm not. I have some shipmates that are probably on those ships, and I'm sure I have some shipmates that are avoiding those ships like the plague. But whether if they transit or not, because I'm not doing that, but because I'm
So
just on the type of ship that's not going over there.
what's the crappiest flag? What's the country that'll flag anything that you won't get on one of their ships?
Man,
Liberia?
Liberia. I'm not sure about that, but I could tell you one recently. Fucking Australia. Fucking
What?
Australia. They're not as bad as Canada, because Canada, you just can't go. I got two DUIs, damn it. All right. I got two DUIs that are from more than a decade ago, both of them. And I handled both of them, right? Um,
Hmm.
Canada, they see that, they're like, no, you can't come. You can't come in. All right, fine. Fuck you. Don't want to go anyway. I'm lying. Canada seems very nice and beautiful. But still, fuck it. All right. Australia, there's a ship on the board, and I'm like, oh yeah, I want that ship. Person at the hall said, okay. I have to do this old visa application and everything, and they're asking about my history. So I got two DUIs and da 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 da. And they're like, well, we need all the paperwork for all of that. And I'm like, dude, I do not have the paperwork. It's buried in I don't know how many emails ago, but I just don't have that paperwork. So I'm going to Singapore now.
Uh, Oh, and what will your ship be carrying?
Uh, I don't know. I don't know. I know it's a bulk ship. I know that much.
What does that mean?
A bulk ship? Well, it carries. I don't know what they're going to be carrying, but it carries maybe some type of coal or something like that. It's not a grain ship. They don't do grain
Gotcha.
anymore, as far as I know. Um, but yeah, it's a bulk carrier, so it's not an oil. This is how I can tell you because this is my first time being on a bulk ship. I've
Hmm.
done cargo ships, and that's the ones with the big, the cargo.
Right.
Yeah, everybody knows what that looks like. That's the one that got stuck in that strait a couple of years ago or a few years ago.
Right.
Um, I've been on oil tankers, everything from crude oil to, petrol and all of that. So it's not one of those. Again, it's not a car carrier because that was the one that was going to be going to Australia. That would have been my first car carrier. I've only been doing this for 6 years, and I've only been in the deck department for about 3 years. So I'm still
Gotcha.
fairly new to shipping. But it's not a car carrier. But yeah,
Are
it's
these
a bulk
ships
ship.
are huge, so do you feel the roll? Do you get seasick?
Absolutely. Well, do I get seasick? No, I've never gotten
But if you
seasick.
were prone to seasickness, would you, I mean, how do you know? Okay. Uh, I get seasick. I'm not good at sea.
I wouldn't say I'm prone to seasickness because I think I just fought through it. I was in the steward department, my very first ship. We know my second ship, and we were rolling. It was a cable ship, so we have to kind of stay in place, right? So they're using thrusters to, fight the waves and all of that stuff. So that was my second ship ever, and I felt nauseous, but not to the point where I see people and I've seen people like it just stops them dead in their tracks all day. They're done. Like they
Right.
can't keep down water,
So are
food,
you
or
still
anything.
cooking?
Hell no. I'm in the deck department, baby.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I'm in the
Okay.
deck. No, you're good. I didn't take offense. He said sorry. No, you're good, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, nah, you're all good, Dave. Nah, man, I'm in the deck department, man. I steer the ships. I steer them.
Cool.
I work on them as far as like, maintaining it, on the exterior as far as like chipping the rust away, repainting it with primer and all of that crap, doing stuff like that. I'm on pirate watch when we go through pirated waters and all of that crap. So going to Singapore, probably gonna, if we got to go through
So do
Malaysia or
you have a
whatever, gonna
security
do that again.
force? Are there armed people on your ship in case the pirates show up?
100%. Well, I wouldn't say 100% because I was on a on a vessel where we didn't have an escort. That was the Keystone State by PGM. We did not have an escort, and I was shoulder to shoulder with the cap. He was loading up a 9 millimeter semi-automatic sidearm, and I was loading up a 12 gauge shotgun. And that was my second ship in the deck department.
Did you like the movie Captain Phillips?
Captain Phillips, is cool. I've worked with some guys that said that they actually worked with him. They said the most accurate part about the movie is that guy being an asshole. Like the scene where he walks in and says, "What are you guys doing? Breaks over." Like they said that part is real. But yeah, apparently some Filipino dude uh, hit one of the pirates in the head with a pipe or something like that, and that's not on the movie, right? So I don't know.
Gotcha.
I like this. This is
Gotcha.
Takeover Tuesday, Dave. You got the mic. You got the floor, man. If you need a break, we can go ahead. Matter of fact, let's do that. Let's go on a quick commercial break, quick music break. And again, this is KWEXL Radio live stream, and I'm your host with the most from the left coast, the best coast. That is the West Coast. I am Neon Black Chevelle. Stay locked. Stay tuned. That wonderful musical break, Our House, and that song is catchy as hell. This is KWEXL Radio. This is Takeover Tuesday. And thank you for allowing me to take over your Tuesday on this a wonderful, beautiful Tuesday. And I'm getting my Tuesday taken over by David Page. This guy is he's he's done a lot of shit. To say it like that, huh? But Dave, we're back and you're on.
Hey, hey.
I have a question for you, man. I'm just gonna just spew them out.
Yeah.
People see success, but not the grind, right? So, what
Mhm.
did you have to sacrifice to get where you are today?
Uh, um, uh, I don't think I sacrificed a whole lot. Sacrifice is the wrong word. I worked my ass off, but I worked my ass off at something I like.
See, you hear
Um,
that, people?
so I don't consider that a sacrifice. I mean, when you have to pick the right times to do certain things. I mean, when I was traveling the world and never home and living and dying by the deadlines of news networks, I didn't have a wife, I didn't have a daughter, and I think,
Okay, yeah.
trying to combine those 2 things could have been extremely difficult, but that's not the time I was doing that. So, no, in fact, I've always felt sorry for people who, like, couldn't wait till the weekend arrived so they could go have fun. What I've always done for a living has always been the thing I most enjoy doing. I'm 71 years old. I suppose I should retire, but then what would I do? I mean, my hobby is the thing I've always done as a job. So now I focus mostly on my podcast, which is also on video, because I get great enjoyment out of the creative process, and I work very hard. And frankly, um, I'm talking to an agent about a book proposal. I just
Oh, that's what's up. Congratulations.
I like to create shit.
Yeah. So again,
Now,
yeah, what's up?
that doesn't mean you shouldn't work hard. If you're gonna do something, I mean, look, if you're gonna do something, you ought to do it and do it well. So, you know, the old cranky man in me, frankly, thinks there's an awful lot of um, I'm not thrilled with the attitude that I see many younger people exhibiting toward their responsibilities in
Hmm.
terms of work and what they owe an employer and what an employer owes them. Having said that, large employers have become increasingly assholes in terms of feeling any sense of responsibility toward employees. So I
Hmm.
get where it comes from. But in my day, um,
You
it,
good?
you work your ass off because
Oh, that what?
that's what you did, because when I used to walk uphill to school both ways barefoot in the
15
snow.
miles in the snow, barefoot.
Yeah, but no, I don't feel like I sacrificed anything. I think I've been lucky.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Shoot. Moving on. And you said you've been around food, media, and real stories and all of that. What's something about the restaurant industry people think they know but are completely wrong about?
Oh no, it's like television. Everyone has a TV, so they think they can make TV.
Right.
Everyone has a kitchen, so they think they can run a restaurant.
Right.
What people don't realize is, A, it's incredibly hard. B, it's a perfect way to go broke. Um, and C, unlike other businesses where people are willing to acknowledge increasing costs, if you want to piss off a restaurant customer, then pass along the $2 increase on the price of chicken, and they'll stop coming. Which is why the restaurant industry at certain levels is in trouble, because people don't want to acknowledge that you need to pay for food and for labor and for rent, and you ought to prioritize the quality of food you're getting and the quality of lifestyle provided to the employees who provide it.
David, I want to talk about tiny eats. I'm talking about
About
when
what?
tiny eats. Like when you go to these
Yes.
restaurants that you're paying these astronomical prices for this very small, tiny portion of food that they've, put together very well, the presentation, because we eat with our eyes first, right? But it's literally
Oh
just
yeah.
a bite. What are your thoughts on that? Like,
Well,
how
you're
are you really
mostly
supposed to
talking.
enjoy that?
Well, you're talking about tasting menus, which I hate. Dinner is intended to be a show at that point, as opposed to a meal that can sustain you. So
Right.
I'm no fan of that. Now, there are intentional tiny bites. I mean, tapas
Mm-hmm.
in Spain are intended to be a series of small bites.
Mm-hmm.
Mezzas in Greece or the Middle East are intended to be a series of small bites. And frankly, Europeans are stunned by what we as Americans think of as traditional portion sizes in restaurants. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
they
a
are.
reason, among others, for obesity, one of which is look, the cheapest thing a restaurant can offer you is their food. Food cost is far lower proportionally than labor cost or
Mm.
rent. So, a cheesecake factory can give you 327 pounds or whatever the hell you're ordering from them, and
Right.
that's just gluttony.
Right.
Um, but we should eat reasonable portions of food, and you should get what you're paying for. As I said, I'm not a fan of the tasting menu concept.
Mm-hmm.
Now, having said that, I've had some remarkable tasting menu meals.
Mm-hmm.
Guy Savoy in Las Vegas, which is a two Michelin star restaurant. I was taken there once by an agent. We were in town pitching a project, and dinner for three was $2,000. And I got to tell you, if I didn't pay, so it was great. But it was one of the rare experiences where, I think given the kind of restaurant that it was, I don't think they were unfair in charging what they charged. I thought the food was extraordinary. I've been to Alinea in Chicago, a noted tasting menu restaurant. The food is extraordinary, and small portions, but still terrific. So there's an exception to every rule. But generally speaking, I'm not a big fan of a succession of small plates.
Dave, do you take pictures of your food when you're out at a fancy restaurant?
Oh, fuck no. Oh, come on. That's not to memorialize enjoyment. It's to show other people how cool you are.
Yeah. Right, right. Yeah, just eat the shit. Just what are you doing?
Yeah. No, in fact, it's interesting. I'm editing an interview with a great chef who, no, it's not, it's actually up on Culinary Characters Unlocked. Go to any of your favorite, wherever you get your podcasts, go check out the episode that dropped today with Chef Kevin O'Donnell
Mm-hmm.
of Rhode Island,
Mm-hmm.
who talks about the difference between taste and visuals. It's his position, and he's a highly talented chef, that the best vegetables he ever had were in Italy, where the shit's cooked out of them and they look terrible, but they taste great.
Right.
And as he points out, the technique of cooking them, which is to cook them to shit, to beat the hell out of them, produces the best flavor, and the chefs are concerned about flavor, not appearance. Now,
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, ugly food has another impact on your overall sensory experience, but
True.
no, don't take pictures of your food. Eat it, enjoy it, discuss it with the people you're at the table with. That's what food is for.
But Mr. Page, my whole social media is about being a foodie. I travel the world
Well,
and I
but
take
I hate that
pictures.
term. Being a foodie, why? Because you think it's cool, or because you really enjoy food?
Hmm.
You could be, hey, listen, you could be someone like me. I
Really enjoy
have fought my weight
food.
all my life, and a couple of years ago, my doctor told me, well, congratulations, you've developed a very serious case of diabetes. Among other
Diabetes.
things, you better lose weight. So I lost 85 pounds
Oh,
and
nice.
have changed
Good.
my eating habits substantially, and my numbers are now non-diabetic. But believe me, especially given the fact that I cannot gorge like I used to, I certainly appreciate a good piece of food for being a good piece of food.
Mm-hmm. Man, that's a trip. So you said do you just enjoy food?
Well, two things. I enjoy
How much
food,
can
but
you enjoy food though? I mean, I don't know. I'm literally
Well, it
asking how
depends.
much
I
can one
mean,
enjoy food?
the important thing is to make sure that you don't waste your calories on bad food. And by the way, as my endocrinologist said to me, there's an exception to everything. When we went to Charleston
Mhm.
and visited a restaurant that had recently won a Michelin star,
Nice.
um, I did not limit what I ate. And I'm not a big fan of Wagyu beef because it generally feels too fatty to me, but they were doing a Wagyu New York strip,
I wasn't
using a
impressed when I went to
technique.
Japan.
Well, they were using a technique of on and off the coals to caramelize the fat, and it's one of the finest meals of my life. And that was several days worth of calories, but it was sure as hell worth it. I had
Mhm.
them on the podcast as well. Husband and wife that own the place.
Oh,
Great
nice.
restaurant, Vern's in Charleston.
Verns, big up to Verns in Charleston. So you mentioned, your struggle with gaining weight and getting diabetes and all of that
I
stuff.
mentioned my struggle with being a fat pig. Okay, let's cut the euphemisms.
Yeah, cut the shit. He says. Well, so yeah,
Yeah,
so you had a big back. You was doing big back living, and
yeah.
I was. I don't know. I know it was on social media. So bear with me, David. This
Mhm.
chick, she said that she went to Italy for the first time and ate, their pastries or whatever, ate their pasta and stuff and blah blah blah. And she said that it. She said she actually lost weight. She said that's things that she normally eats in the States because she's from the States, and she said the food there is different to the point where
It's
she.
cleaner.
Hmm.
It's got less crap in it.
So that so
Portion
you
sizes
believe her?
are
You believe that
smaller.
that's a real thing? That she
Oh
went to
yeah,
Italy and lost weight
absolutely.
eating the same food that she
Yeah.
does in the
Well,
States.
and look, I went to Ethiopia after the famine and gained weight because Ethiopia used to be an Italian colony, and they served lasagna in the Western hotels as an appetizer. So yeah, you can put weight on anywhere. But no, I believe that eating good food, as opposed to garbage, makes it easier to keep weight off.
Yeah. Is there anything that when you do your shopping, are you looking for a
Mhm.
specific brand? I'm not trying to get sponsored or give them free advertising or anything like
I
that.
tend, you know what? I just want my food to be as real as possible. I
So you
won't
buy
buy.
organic.
No, I don't give a shit about that.
He said,
That's become
no.
such a crock. That's such a crock of advertising BS.
I wonder if my boy is gonna call in because we're both from
No,
California
I want
and he's big on
I want
organic.
locally I want locally produced in season vegetables, indigenous to the region I'm in. If they happen to be organically raised, great, but so much of what's called organic, I don't trust anyway.
That's what I'm
But no, I
saying.
believe, first of all, for the most part, I don't buy beef in a supermarket. I have a butcher
Hmm.
because A, it's better beef, and B, it's being provided by an expert to whom I can say, listen, I'm thinking about doing this. What cut do you recommend? How should I do it?
Hmm.
Everybody should have a butcher and a bail bondsman. And I truly love the concept of going to my butcher and having a conversation about what I'm going to eat and why and how. Um, I try to stay away from a lot of ultra processed stuff, but I'm not a hypocrite. I'm not a hypocrite about that. I mean, I like Honey Nut Cheerios, so I eat Honey Nut Cheerios.
Oh, healthy ass cereal.
What's that?
I said that old healthy ass cereal. I thought you was gonna say something like, I like, fruity pebbles or cinnamon
Well,
toast
but
crunch. You
Fruity
talking about
Pebbles and
honey
Honey
nut
Nut Cheerios,
Cheerios?
neither one of them is particularly healthy, but um, I have my Honey Nut Cheerios with Greek yogurt and
Hmm. Never had
dark
that.
chocolate nibs because dark chocolate is actually good for blood sugar levels for diabetics. And I have that for breakfast with strawberries often.
Hmm.
and that's fine. But I'm not going to argue with you that
I'm gonna have to
ultra
try that.
processed Honey Nut Cheerios are necessarily a great food item.
Right.
But I've got room for them in my diet.
Oh, for sure.
Um, you
My
know,
my boy recently he was telling me like, man, be careful eating that Honey Nut Cheerios, man. You know it's got some stuff in it that may cause cancer or something like that. I'm like, dude,
well,
what
everything's
what
got
doesn't?
something in it that
Yeah,
may
yeah.
cause
What doesn't
cancer.
cause cancer?
I'm
I hope
much
he
more
calls in
concerned.
too. He was talking all that shit last night. Like, yeah, man, I'm gonna call in if it's
Well,
good. Like, yeah,
look, I'm
call
much
in.
more concerned about the forever chemicals in nonstick cookware.
You said,
That's
say that one more time.
those, what are they called? PFAs. It's those chemicals that were first developed by DuPont, that are now in everyone's body. I'm much more worried about those than I am about the long-term impact of cancer-causing chemicals in my cereal. Because look, I'm 71. If I got 30 years left, that's a pretty optimistic outlook. So yeah.
Come on, man. You making it sound like you ain't got at least 30 summers left, man. Come on now.
Oh, my mother-in-law recently passed away at the age of 106. So on my wife's side of the family, we have a longevity gene. I don't think it translates to me that way, but we'll see.
I think you're doing just fine, man. You sound like you're doing good. Sound
Hey,
like you got.
never give up the fight, man.
I heard that. Shoots. Okay, so then what advice would you have? Would you say eat what you want in moderation, or would you say eat as
Oh,
clean or as
I
healthy
love
as you
this.
could?
I love this. All things in moderation, including moderation.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Um, and more importantly, especially for people with my personality, be aware that it's easy to use food for things other than nutrition or even taste. That people such as I turn to food for social reasons, for psychological reasons. I'm not feeling well emotionally. Let me eat something.
Hmm.
I'm bored. Let me
Hmm.
eat something.
That's a big one.
That's not a reason. That's not a reason to eat.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I caught myself doing that quite a few times because it makes me feel like I'm doing something
Now,
with my
and
time.
having said that, there's something else people need to come to grips with. And like, I like Bill Maher, the comic, but he pisses me off because he clearly is genetically thin. He clearly did not have overweight ancestors, and he refuses to acknowledge any kind of genetic connection to propensity to obesity.
Hmm.
And he propagates the myth that anyone who has a weight problem is a slothful, indulgent pig. There are genetic reasons that some people are more prone to obesity than others, and science certainly says that's true. The fat shaming that goes on in society is itself shameful.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah. Yeah. No. Back to those. I'm sorry. I just received a message, and they kind of threw me off a little bit. Uh, Get your ass on the call, boy. Don't be texting me talking shit. This is KWEXL Radio, guys. I apologize, Dave, but I'm taking that apology back because we do it real raw and rugged out here. With that being said, um, Dave, man, I really enjoy you being here. Thank you for being here. Um, let's
Thanks for having me. It's
no,
been
no,
fun.
no, absolutely. No, I'm not cutting you off, man, unless you're ready to go. Yeah, I'm just.
Well, I got a few more minutes, but then I got to get back to work, big guy.
All right, hey, no problem at all. But yeah, so just really quick, if there's anything else that you just want to show the people, just so because you said you got to go and you got to do things, is there anything you want to promote or let them know? I got everything on the
Yeah,
screen right now.
I want everybody to go listen to my podcast and subscribe to it. It's Culinary Characters Unlocked. It's on all the platforms. You can get it in audio, you can get it in video. It's on YouTube. I am inordinately proud of it. It is me in conversation with the most interesting people in food. Usually a chef, sometimes a restaurateur, very occasionally somebody else like the executive editor of Eater. And we're talking, look, people who make food for a living are passionate, interesting people who care a lot about making others happy. and they have fascinating lives. I've been interviewing people for 55 years now. I'm not bad at it.
Man, you're
And
amazing. You're amazing at
well,
it,
thank
and
you.
you have the voice.
Thank you. These are really interesting conversations about interesting people.
Nice.
And look, the essence of storytelling has always been one thing: people. Um, as I said, I'm real proud of these conversations. Give it a listen. Tell your friends to give it a listen. Subscribe.
Hey,
Give it a
give it a
shot. And
listen.
then, um,
Hmm.
if you want some more of me, go buy my book, Food Americana. It's on Amazon.
Man, again, y'all, this is David Page, man. If you don't know who he is, look him up. You know what I'm saying? Big Emmys. But with that being said, this is Takeover Tuesday. David, thank you for hanging out today, man. I really appreciate it. I do not take it for granted.
It's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, man. Thank you. And Godspeed, man. Good luck on all your endeavors and all of that. And
You too, and enjoy Singapore and stay out of trouble.
hey. I don't get into trouble now.
Okay, well, don't get caught.
That's how I stay out of trouble. All right. All right. Well, let me go ahead and end that right there. Let me go ahead and take him out of it right there, baby. Man, that was David Page, people. That guy has done a lot. A lot, a lot. Um, I'm not gonna lie, it kind of motivated me to continue to do this and up my game and all of that stuff, get my chops up and everything. But again, people, that was David Page, and this is Takeover Tuesday, brought to you by KWEXL Radio live stream. And I'm your host with the most from the best coast, David. That is the West Coast. And I'm Neon Black Chevelle, and this is KWEXL, where we excel. Peace.